Your Medicare card stops working the moment your ship leaves the dock in Alaska. Most travelers over 65 don't find that out until they're standing in the ship's medical center, holding a bill that starts in the thousands. Alaska is the most beautiful cruise you'll ever take, and the one cruise lines explain the least. You've sailed before, you read the brochure, you feel ready, but that brochure wasn't written for travelers our age, it was written to close the sail. I spent years watching this play out from the crew side of the gangway, in Juneau, Skagway, and Seward. So today, 12 quiet truths, where the money leaks and the exact words that plug each one. You don't need all 12. Pick the 3 that fit your sailing. But truth number 12 decides whether you even get the right cabin. Truth number 1, the card that stops at the dock. Let's start with the one that costs the most, because almost nobody sees it coming. Original Medicare covers almost nothing once your ship is more than 6 hours from a U.S. port. In Alaska, you're past that line for most of the trip. The ship's medical center bills your account directly, in full, that same day. But the doctor isn't the scary number. The evacuation is. Out on the most remote coast in America, a private air ambulance can clear $100,000 straight out of your pocket. I saw it twice on one sailing. One couple had evacuation coverage and flew home covered. The couple next door found out about the gap at the desk, staring at the bill. Same ship, 2 very different folios. Your defense: buy travel insurance that names emergency medical evacuation, not just trip cancellation. Confirm in writing it works in Alaska outside U.S. waters. Keep the policy number in your wallet and your phone. Magic phrase: I need comprehensive coverage with emergency medical evacuation at sea, including air ambulance, and I want the dollar limit in writing. That protects your savings. But the next one decides whether you even get off the ship. Truth number 2, the tender trap. Here's a detail the booking page buries on purpose. Not every Alaska port has a dock. At several stops, the ship anchors offshore and ferries you in on a small boat called a tender. A flight of steps, a platform moving under your feet, open water on both sides. With a cane, a walker, or a knee that's seen better days, that's the difference between a great port day and a day stuck on board. The folks who asked us ahead got a crew arm and priority loading every time. The ones who showed up at the door not knowing waited or stayed behind. Same mobility, 2 different days. Your defense: ask which ports on your itinerary are tender ports before you book. On day 1, ask guest services to note priority tender assistance on your account. If steps are hard, favor itineraries that dock right in the main towns. Magic phrase: which ports are tender ports, and can you note priority tender assistance on my account? That decides your port days. The next one decides how the whole week feels under your feet. Truth number 3, the protected water rule. There are 2 ways to sail Alaska, and they don't feel the same. A round-trip inside passage cruise stays tucked behind the islands, protected water, calm most of the way. A one-way Gulf of Alaska crossing is open ocean, and it can get genuinely rough. The one-way routes are the ones they push hardest because they bolt a land tour on the back and charge more. If you're prone to seasickness, that one booking choice beats any pill. I watched a couple spend the whole Gulf crossing flat in their cabin, missing the part they'd paid the most for. 2 doors down, the inside passage folks barely felt the water. Same week. 2 different oceans. Your defense: if motion bothers you at all, choose a round-trip inside passage itinerary. Leave the open water Gulf routes to the stronger sailors. Pack the motion bands either way, cheap insurance, the routes settled. Now the cabin upgrade thousands of seniors overpay for and never should. Truth number 4, the glacier-side myth. This one saves you money before you even pack. Lines hint that one side is the glacier side, and sellers nudge you toward a cabin that costs hundreds more. It isn't true. At the glacier, the captain slowly turns the ship so both rails get the same view. And here's the free insider move. When everyone crushes into the freezing, windy bow, you go the other way. head to a warm aft lounge or hot tub. For 30 or 40 minutes, the back becomes the front, and you've got the glacier almost to yourself, hot coffee in hand. The folks who paid extra for the scenic cabin crowded that same deck anyway. The ones who saved it got the identical view from the warm aft rail, same glacier. 2 different fares. Your defense, don't pay a premium for a glacier-side cabin. There's no such thing. At the glacier, work against the crowd to a warm aft spot. Pick your cabin for motion and walking distance instead. That saves real money up front. The next leak is hiding in your suitcase. Truth number 5. The onboard jacket markup. Alaska. Weather turns on a dime. Sun, wind, and cold rain in one afternoon, and Ketchikan is one of the rainiest places in North America. The line knows most first-timers underpack, so the shops stock branded rain shells at a premium. A $40 jacket at home runs $100 and up onboard, right when you're cold and out of options. I watched people pay resort prices for a thin shell on day 2. The ones who packed layers from home stayed just as warm and kept their cash. Same drizzle. 2 different wallets. Your defense. Pack 3 layers, a moisture-wicking base, a fleece, and a genuinely waterproof shell. Bring a packable rain jacket from home before you ever board. Skip jeans for shore days. Lightweight rain pants stay warm and dry. Stay warm and you stay ahead. But the next one is where the real money drains. Truth number 6. The excursion markup and the liability gap. I'll be honest, this is the one that bothers me most. The line's shore excursions carry a steep markup, often a third or more over booking direct. Booking independent can save real money. But here's the catch. The brochure skips. A line-booked tour runs late, the ship waits. An independent tour runs late, the ship sails without you. And if you're hurt on an independent tour, the line takes 0 responsibility. I watched a couple on an independent flight-seeing trip tear back to the pier with 10 minutes to spare, white-knuckled the whole drive. The line-booked group beside them never sweated it. Same excursion, 2 different afternoons. Your defense. Book independent only with a comfortable cushion before all aboard. Use line-booked tours for weather-sensitive air trips and tight port days. Make sure your travel insurance covers independent excursions. Magic phrase, is this tour guaranteed to get me back before all aboard time, and what happens if it doesn't? That protects your port day. The next one steals something you can't buy back. If this is landing for you, drop the Alaska port you're most excited about in the comments, and grab the free printable version of this whole list. It's linked right below in the description. Hit subscribe before we go on, because truth number 12 is the one booking call that makes or breaks the whole trip. Truth number 7, the midnight sun sleep trap. Here's one the line will never warn you about. There's nothing in it for them to sell. In an Alaska summer, the sun barely sets. 18, 19 hours of daylight, bright past 11 at night. It sounds magical. Until you can't fall asleep. Cabin curtains are thin, and for us, a few wrecked nights ruin the next day's port. The sharpest, most rested folks I'd see at embarkation went foggy by day 4, purely from the light. The ones who packed for it slept fine. Same cabin, 2 different mornings. Your defense? Pack a good eye mask for every traveler in your party. This is the one item that fixes it. Ask your steward to seal the curtain edges with the clips behind them. Hold your normal bedtime, even when the sky says otherwise. Stay rested and you stay sharp. The next gap shows up right at the end when your guard is down. Truth number 8. The pier-to-airport gap. This one catches people right at the finish line. On many Alaska cruises, you don't step off in Anchorage. You disembark in Seward or Whittier, a long way from the airport. Seward's a 2.5 to 3 hour drive. Whittier adds a one-way tunnel that only flips direction every half hour. Book a same-day afternoon flight, and the transfer alone eats half your day. I watched good folks miss flights they were sure they had hours to spare for. The ones who planned the gap flew home calm. Same disembarkation. 2 different airport runs. Your defense? Disembarking in Seward or Whittier. Book a late flight or stay overnight in Anchorage. Pre-book your transfer instead of scrambling at the pier. Build in real buffer time. Alaska distances are bigger than they look. That gets you home in one piece. The next one cuts you off from everyone you love. Truth number 9, the connectivity dead zone. The inside passage is gorgeous and gloriously empty, which is exactly the problem. Empty means long stretches, sometimes a full day, with no cell signal at all. Ship internet is slow and often $20 to $30 a day. The worry isn't social media, it's that family back home can't reach you for a day and start to fear the worst. I lost count of the grown kids who flooded guest services, sure something had happened to mom and dad. When mom and dad were up on deck with a coffee, having the time of their lives. Same silence. 2 different families. Your defense. Give your family the ports and dates before you sail and warn them about the no-signal days. Download maps, books, and boarding info while you still have a signal. Buy a ship internet package only if you truly need to stay reachable. Keep everyone calm at home and you'll actually relax. The next one waits on the gangway itself. Truth number 10, the port day mobility trap. Alaska towns aren't the flat, easy boardwalks the brochures suggest. Tides swing wide here, more than 15 feet, so the gangway ramp can tilt steep depending on the hour. Towns like Juneau and Ketchikan climb uphill fast, with uneven pavement and a real walk to the good spots. The line sells the scenery, never the staircase, and for a bad hip or knee, that surprise costs you the whole port. I watched more than one traveler reach the bottom of a hill they didn't know was coming, look up, and turn back. It never had to happen. The crew is right there, same town, 2 different afternoons. Your defense. Use the crew for gangway assistance at low tide without hesitation. Check the walking distance to the attractions before you leave the ship. Bring a folding cane or rent a mobility scooter in port if the hills worry you. Magic phrase, I'd like gangway assistance on tender and pier days, please. That keeps your port days yours. The next warning only shows when the weather turns. Truth number 11, the weather-canceled excursion. Alaska's best excursions all depend on the weather. Flight seeing, glacier landings, whale watching, any of it gets scrubbed by fog with no notice, and a prepaid helicopter landing runs $600 a person. When the line cancels a line-booked tour, your refund posts automatically. When weather cancels an independent tour, the refund rides on that operator's policy, and some just keep your money. 2 travelers, same fog, same canceled flight-seeing trip. The line-booked one had her refund by dinner. The independent one spent a week fighting for his. Same fog, 2 different outcomes. Your defense. For anything weather-dependent and pricey, lean line-booked or a fully refundable operator. Get the exact refund policy in writing before you put down a deposit. Keep a flexible backup plan for the fogged-out days. That protects your money when the sky won't cooperate. And this last one is the decision the whole system is built around. Truth number 12, the booking window squeeze. This isn't a leak. It's the drain the whole system is built around. Every Alaska ship has only a handful of cabins that truly suit travelers our age. The accessible ones and the lower deck midship cabins where the motion is gentlest. There are only so many, and they sell out first, often months ahead. The 2026 Alaska season runs May through September, and it's filling up right now. Wait too long and you're left with a high deck, a forward cabin that rocks hardest, or no accessible cabin at all. The line never tells you to hurry. A late booking in a worse cabin still sells for the same price. I watched people settle for a top-deck forward cabin and feel every wave for a week. The ones who booked early got the quiet midship cabin and slept like the water stood still. Same ship. 2 completely different cruises. Your defense? Book your 2026 Alaska sailing early while the good cabins are still open. Ask specifically for an accessible or midship lower deck cabin. Use a travel agent who can hold the right cabin before it's gone. Magic phrase, I'd like an accessible midship cabin on a lower deck, the gentlest motion you have, if one's still available. So now you know the 12 truths most travelers our age don't find out until the ship has already left the dock. But knowing how to book Alaska is only half of cruising smart, because the biggest savings of all are the upgrades the line will hand you for free, if you just know how to ask. That's exactly what I'm covering next, and it's on the screen right now. See you on the next one.